Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wealth in Christ Show, a show where we inspire the masses to become financially free without compromising their faith. I'm your host, Dami, and today I'm going to share a powerful truth about money. The powerful truth that I want to share about money is that money does not discriminate. Despite what you see in social media or hear in certain communities, wealth is not limited to one race, culture, or background. If you follow biblical and practical financial principles, you can position yourself to build wealth regardless of where you start. The reality is that money has no favorites. Money has no favorites. You can see a white person as wealthy, a black person as wealthy, an Indian person, an Asian person, name it. You can see someone in every different community that is wealthy. In some cases, there are more wealthy people in Pacific community, or that's what it shows. Statistics shows us that there's more wealth in certain communities, but it's all about these people following certain principles. If you manage well, it multiplies. If you neglect it, it disappears. It reminds us in Proverbs 21:5. It says, "A plan of the diligence leads surely to plenty, but those who are hasty surely to poverty." Diligence and discipline are needed, not luck or privilege alone, is what's needed in building wealth. That's why, when money is passed down from generation to generation. I think by the third, really doesn't make it to the third generation. And often has to do with, discipline and diligence, not knowing how to continue to grow the money. And the most important, education is needed in order to build wealth. According to PYMT research that was done, 65% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And this includes everyone you can think of, people making 40K a year to even people making six figures a year. So clearly, income isn't a full story about how to build wealth. Income plays a factor, but it's not the full story. It's not the only factor that's holding someone back from building wealth. How you budget, how you save, how you invest matters more about how much you make. And I'll even add here the right opportunity, investing at the right time, investing in a specific stuff, saving, in a specific environment. Knowing how to adapt when the economy is changing. They say something oftentimes when you're trading stocks, which is buy the rumors, sell the news. If I'm saying that correctly. Buy the rumors, sell the news. So in other words, when you're starting to hear people, you know, throwing ideas around, whether like I'm sure before this AI boom that we're in, many people started talking about AI, and people were already hinting at the change, so you need to surround the people you surround yourself with is matter. You want to be in circles where they're telling you things that are going to happen in 5, 10, 15 years. This way you can better position yourself and you know how to park money into certain stocks, certain investment. So that way you can truly you can benefit. One thing that often people think is that you have to become an entrepreneur to build wealth. But that's far from the truth. Whether you're an employee or business owner, it takes consistency and stewardship of your finance in order to build wealth. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, about 20% of small businesses fail in their first year, and only 34.7% survive after 10 years. On the other hand, as late as 2024, over 544 Americans have become 401k millionaires through steady investing through their workplace retirement. Faithfulness becomes flashy when you're doing it constantly over time. Wealth is not built overnight, it's built over a period of time. As I was mentioning earlier, people you surround yourself can help you position yourself to build wealth. If you imagine someone telling you to buy NVIDIA 10 years ago, you only put 1,000, 10,000, that 1,000, 10,000 will turn to a couple hundred thousand, if not millions. This is why wealth isn't built in isolation. The people you surround yourself will either sharpen you or sabotage your growth. In Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so man sharpen the contents of his friend. Build a relationship with people who challenge you to save, invest, and grow wisely. Build a relationship with people who can position you, who can tell you about different opportunities before they come. And beyond, people build systems for budgeting, systems for investing, systems for accountability, because discipline, sustained system creates wealth. It's important for you to have systems. And I often say you're only as successful as the systems you put in place. In other words, if you don't have a system which which encourages you to save, which encourages you to invest, you know, or something that's automatic, something I personally do, a certain percent of my paycheck, every time I get paid, goes into the stock market, a certain percent of it goes into my Roth IRA. And it's a system, it's something that's constantly having recurring. I don't have to constantly look, I have the specific stocks, specific ETF that I want to be invested into every month, and it's constantly doing it. And you can do this with 5, 10, 15, 20, $100, it's just what's important for you to do is for you to start. As we are in the fourth quarter, I understand how overwhelming it can be. I understand how stressful it can be, especially if this year has not been great for you. Because in no matter of time, people start posting how great this year has been for them. People are already going to start posting what they want to accomplish next year. People are going to start talking about the holidays, Thanksgiving. You have all these different things, and your finances is not where you need to be. This is the perfect time to position yourself for the future. This is the perfect time to start paying off the debt. This is the perfect time to start saving $10, $50 a week. Because that adds up to something. If you can save $10, you can save $100. You can save $100, you can save, if you can manage $10 well, you can manage $100 well. It's the same principle no matter the amount of money you have. But if you mismanage $100, you cannot manage $1,000 at all. So it's important that you build systems that encourage you to practice healthy habits. Systems for accountability. Find someone who's on the same page. Join community, whether maybe at the church, whether it be community groups, whether it's someone online. Are you in a community online, Facebook group? Find something where you can a person, a friend who can hold you accountable to making sure you're saving X amount of money dollars into your life already. You're paying off your debt. Have someone who you can tell your goals to, and especially and specifically not be jealous of your goals. You don't want to tell people your goals who are going to be jealous. You want to tell people who your goals, who are going to encourage you, who are going to inspire you to want to chase your goal. You will also still want to be around them, find someone who can hold you accountable, who's already done it, who's not struggling with the same thing. Because it's easy for someone to hold you accountable when they're not struggling with the same issues. If a person you're trying to have hold you accountable and struggling with saving and investing, that may not be the person for you. You need someone who does that pretty better than you do. You don't need to look too far. You just need to look into your circle, your day to day. People, just reach out. Just need to reach out, send a text, maybe just a phone call that you need to make to that person so they can hold you accountable to building wealth. And I know for some people may say, wealth disparity, you know, I just want to say this. And even zoom out on a global perspective, wealth disparity is this. But opportunity doesn't belong to one region. Whether in North America, Africa, Asia, Latin America, the same financial principle apply. So there's billionaires in all these continents. You can find billionaires on every continent, every living continent, except for Antarctica. You can find a billionaire from North America. You can find a billionaire from South America. You can find a billionaire from Africa. You can find a billionaire from Europe. You can find a billionaires in Asia. You can find billionaires in Australia. So it's all about the principles. Stewardship, diligence, bring increase. Stewardship, diligence, and consistency bring increase. Money does not care about your background. It responds to wisdom. It responds to value. Are you able to solve people's problems? Are you able to bring value to a company where they will pay you X dollars? A perfect example of, you know, people paying somebody for X is Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook. He's paying the top people when it comes to AI, you know, millions and millions of dollars to come to Facebook. He's paying the top people because the information that they have, the knowledge, the insight that they have to come work at his company. So imagine if you have some insight about a product, about a business, you know, whatever it may be, a situation, an issue, and you're able to provide solutions to somebody that's worth millions and millions of dollars. But as always, what I want to mention in the scripture before we close, and that is Luke 16:10. He is faithful in what is least, is faithful also in much. If you're faithful with a little, 500, 5,000, $50, God can trust you more. But if you're careless with a little, more won't fix it. Freedom is found in faithfulness. I often say here, money exposes who you are. People often think money changes them, but money just exposes who they truly are. Having more money does not necessarily change you, it just exposes who you are. And knowing that, it's just important to understand that no matter where you are in this journey, where you have 5, 10, 5,000, 10,000, wherever you may be, or you have zero, wherever you may be, start today. No matter where you are in this world, you're able to position yourself for financial freedom. If you practice being disciplined, you practice providing value, if you practice saving, investing, you're guaranteed to position yourself for a great opportunity financially. And I'll close this with this again. Money does not discriminate. If you follow the right principles, money principles, which you can find in the book of Proverbs, you can find in the book of Ecclesiastics. If you read that, you can find so many money principles. If you build a right system, you stay consistent, you can build wealth, regardless of where you start, and regardless of your background. And even so, regardless of your religion, you can build wealth. Don't focus on what others have. Focus on being faithful to what God has placed in your hands. As always, I hope this blessed you guys. I hope this encouraged you guys in your faith. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Stay blessed. Peace out. See you guys next week.